Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to be answering a question that I get asked fairly often, and that is, do I prefer the Tamagotchi Pix or the Tamagotchi Smart, and which of the two I'd recommend? So this is asked because these are the most recently released Tamagotchis. We've got the Tamagotchi Smart here, which is the current release in Japan, and then we've got the Tamagotchi Pix, and this is specifically the Wave 2 Pix, which is currently being released outside of Japan. So before I get into it, first of all, it is very specific to the Wave 2 Pix because the Wave 1 had a few issues which were fixed in the Wave 2, mainly battery and button sensitivity. So keep that in mind that I'm talking about the blue and green, which is a Wave 2, and not the pink and purple, which is the Wave 1. And also, as of recording this, the Pix Party hasn't come out, so when that comes out, I'll be reviewing that, and I'll let you know my thoughts when it comes out. So in any case, this obviously won't be a full review of either of these because I've already reviewed them both individually. This is more or less a comparison between the two because a lot of people are asking me which one that I would recommend them to get. And this video will sort of answer that, hopefully. So first of all, we have the Tamagotchi Smart, which we can see is a lot smaller than the Pix. The Pix is quite chunky, and that's more or less due to the fact we've got the camera functionality there, which does add a bit of chunkiness. Meanwhile, the Tamagotchi Smart is fairly small, and it comes with this watch band, so you can wear it on your wrist. I don't wear it on my wrist. I use it as a traditional Tamagotchi, but the option is there if you like it. You can tell there's a difference between the rubber on this and the rubber on the band, is that because it's white, it dirties even if you take really good care of it, and the band itself hasn't dirtied because I don't use the band. But in any case, that's sort of the first glaring difference you'll notice between these two is the size. Honestly, the size of the Pix kind of hurts it quite a bit because otherwise it's a really fun Tamagotchi, but it is just so chunky. It is huge. It's not something that can just slip in your pocket. You kind of want to put this in your bag rather than in your pocket, which the Tamagotchi Smart is fairly pocket-sized. It's one of the smaller Tamagotchis. It's definitely the smallest colour Tamagotchi. The colour ones are usually quite big, more the Tamagotchi Pix size. So when we go into the Tamagotchi Smart, we notice that we only have one button. These are actually fake buttons. So when we click on the main button, we get to the menu screen. And the way that we navigate this is that we scroll up and down, and the way that we select something is that we hold it. And we hold it for a few seconds, or like maybe half a second. And it takes quite a few ticks to actually get to feeding. So from the main screen, you press the button, you click and hold, you click and hold a second time, you click and hold a third time, you click and hold a fourth time. And then you watch the animation. And then to feed it again, click and hold, watch the animation. Now, in terms of the animations, they are a lot smoother than previous colour Tamagotchis, which I've noticed their animations are kind of laggy, especially on the early colour Tamagotchis like the ID and the Ps, for example. So let's look at the animation and the way we can feed our Tamagotchi Pix. So this one doesn't have a touchscreen here, and you'll notice it actually has fake buttons. These are not actual buttons, but they are buttons in functionality, even if they're not buttons in, they're not tactile buttons, like this one is a tactile button. So if we want to feed our Tamagotchi on the Tamagotchi Pix, we navigate just like we would a traditional Tamagotchi. It has the menu here. So you press it, and these are very quick touches. And in my original video, I had a lot of comments saying, oh my gosh, it's driving me crazy how you keep on press and holding it. And the reason was because I was used to playing with this, I was used to press and hold. This one's actually super, like, barely even touching it at all. So if I want to feed it, we'll just go back to the main screen. So we press, feed, then we go to fridge, we navigate to the item we want to feed it, and then we press the B, and you can just sort of spam feed. Which, this is one of the reasons I prefer the Pix, actually. You can spam feed. On the Smart, you noticed it was like 4 or 5 clicks, and every time you fed it one thing, you had to go back to the menu of selecting which food, and then you had to press and hold it, and then you had to press and hold that you wanted to give it as a confirmation. So that's something that is one of the glaring differences straight away. The fact that it's a little bit slower. But in terms of the animations are still smooth and great on the Pix, as smooth and as great as they are on the Tamagotchi Smart. So that's fine. But in terms of the navigating, I find it a lot slower on the Smart. And it's actually, like, when I'm running these side by side, I feel like I don't like feeding my Tamagotchi Smart as much because I can't spam feed it. It takes me what could be 10 seconds, it might take a minute just to feed it. So I noticed that I get a lot of care mistakes on my Tamagotchi Smart, or rather, they're not always happy because it just takes a little bit longer. But however, that does have a benefit because it makes me want to feed it snacks less to increase its mood. In the best way, and if you click on your Tamagotchi and then you go to nareru, so rub, and then you can stroke your Tamagotchi like this, and it's really cute. You just kind of rub them, you can rub them up and down, left, right, rub them around, and this is the best way to increase happiness, or at least my favourite way of increasing happiness on the Tamagotchi Pix. The Tamagotchi Smart, rather than going through those menus and giving it snacks. So in that way, I prefer the Smart because I do like the fact I can pat it, and I like how it feels like I'm interacting with an actual creature rather than just a traditional virtual pet. You can actually give it pats like you do in Nintendogs or what have you. There is also a microphone, but it doesn't really work particularly well. You kind of have to move straight up to it for it to hear you. And there's other options that you can talk to it here when you click on its face. And that is pretty cool. Like, it's nice that you get to actually interact with the Tamagotchi. That's pretty cool. On the Pix, it's not as one-to-one, like you can't interact with it like you would a real animal. However, that's fine because the majority of the functionality for the Pix is the camera right here, that chonky camera. So you can do things like you can go on adventures with it. So you can go to the Go Out button, and then you go Explore. And then it opens the camera, and you can, like, take it with you to places. So I think that's a pretty cool functionality. It's like hanging out, and you can take photos and meet other characters while you're on this adventure. So that is a pretty nice feature. I do like that. It makes it feel like it's more immersive. It makes it feel more real. On the Tamagotchi Smart, it's just the typical, you go out and you go to, like, the in-game areas. So you go, and also the controls. I can never get the sliding right. So you'll go out, and then you can go to, like, the park, and you'll meet characters that way. While on this, you can, like, I'll just take a photo in front of the Tamagotchi Smart. You can take it to real-life places and take photos and meet characters. On this, it's the in-game character zone, like the in-game locations only, which it's fine. I mean, that's just typical for a Tamagotchi. It's nothing that's absurdly wrong with it. I just do like the idea that the Pix uses the camera and you can meet characters and you go out and explore the world. In terms of other features that the Tamagotchi Smart has, and what the Tamagotchi Pix has, is the way that they use the downloading of additional features. So Tamagotchi Smart I guess, main feature is the fact that you can use these smart cards, which insert into the side here, and you can download items and special characters that you unlock by feeding them certain items that come with that card. You get an extra mini game, you get an extra few clock face designs, you get extra designs for your room that you're hanging out in, so it's kind of like additional DLC content that you can get using these cards. However, the Tamagotchi Pix, and this is another way that I prefer the Tamagotchi Pix, is the fact that it is complete. You don't need another Tamagotchi to unlock anything. You don't need to buy any of these to unlock anything. The way you download content is that you use, and I've printed these off for the point of this video, you use QR codes, and you can get these from the website, or you can get them from, well, this one in particular is Mr. Blinky, who has done a lot of data mining for Tamagotchis in the past, and a lot of mods there, so that's always really cool. Mr. Blinky is also the one behind the virtual deco piece, which is for the Tamagotchi Ps, which kind of worked in the same way that the smart cards work, but because it's much older technology, it's harder to get a hand on, and you kind of, the best way is to use these virtual deco pieces, but through this Mr. Blinky stuff that he's done, he actually added custom characters like Sonic as well, characters that weren't on the Ps. So Mr. Blinky's done a lot for Tamagotchis in the past, and the Tamagotchi Pix is no exception. So you can download all these QR codes, and that's how you download stuff for the Tamagotchi Pix, and it's all free. The other way to also communicate with other people and their Tamagotchi Pix is also with a QR code. So that's something else I'm a big fan of. The Tamagotchi Smart communicates with the traditional IR at the top here. You aim it at the other Tamagotchi Smart that your friend has or the one that you have, and they hang out, but there's no unlock. So that is a good thing that the Tamagotchi Smart has, because a lot of Tamagotchis require you to connect to multiple devices to unlock something. At least the Tamagotchi Smart doesn't have that, but neither does the Pix. The Pix basically just has that as an additional cool thing that you can do, and you can kind of or basically hang out with people online or remotely without actually having to be right next to them physically like you do with the Tamagotchi Smart or any of the other infrared or prong Tamagotchi or virtual pets. This one, you just send your friend a QR code and you kind of just hang out like that. So that's pretty neat. That's a good way of using the camera and using this QR code functionality. Big fan of that. So that's another reason why I think I prefer the Tamagotchi Pix, and I guess, spoiler for the end of the video, yeah, I recommend the Tamagotchi Pix over the Tamagotchi Smart. But having said that, I do love the Smart. Like, this isn't me saying that the Smart is bad at all. I actually really enjoy the Smart. I love the size. The size is something the Tamagotchi Smart really does have going for it. I do love the additional content in form of these. It makes the replayability and the longevity of the life of the Tamagotchi Smart seem a lot longer than the traditional Tamagotchis, where you might just play with it for a little while and then you'll have all the characters fairly quickly. This way they keep on releasing more Tamagotchi Smart cards to use, and that's a pretty cool fun feature. It means you don't have to buy an additional Tamagotchi Smart to unlock content. You don't have to keep on buying like the Tamagotchi Smart 2 or the next version. Instead of spending like $100 for an additional body, you only have to spend $10, $20 for a nice little smart card, which looks pretty fancy. It kind of works in the same way that the Digimon Vital Bracelet works, so it's very similar to that technology there. So I do love that about the Tamagotchi Smart, and it is something that I really love. And also the animations being smooth is such a bonus. I don't like the older colour Tamagotchis because their animations are more slideshows than animations. This one actually has fairly smooth frames, at least in comparison with the older versions of the colour Tamagotchi, like the Ps, like the ID, like the IDL. So it does have that going for it. The Tamagotchi Pix, on the other hand, same quality of animations, but I really prefer it. I also would rather recommend the Pix over the Smart, because a lot of the people who are asking me if I would recommend the Smart or the Pix are not based in Japan, or they don't know Japanese. And in that way, like the Tamagotchi Pix you can buy in store, at least you can in Australia, and it's in English. So if you don't speak Japanese, you don't have to learn your way around the menu. I don't have that problem because I can read Japanese, but it's always something that I'm wary of recommending something to people, because I don't struggle with the navigation, but I'm not sure how well somebody would if they don't speak Japanese. At least these menu icons are just icons. You can kind of just click around. You know what that says app. You know that is like an Uber Eats functionality. That's a shopping cart. That's a camera. That's like two people kissing. That's like the dating app. So you can kind of assume things from a lot of things, but then when you get to this, you get Hiroba, you get Tamawork, and you have to actually read those. But you could also learn sort of like muscle memory. You know where the locations of each item are, so maybe you don't have to know Japanese, but there is still a little bit of a learning curve. You do have to know where those icons are, or you have to look it up, and that's why I recommend the Pix, especially if you don't know Japanese, just because it's in English. It is, while it is expensive, it's still like $100 Australian. It's accessible. You can just go to the shops and you can get it right now. And yeah, I'm also like, as I said, the Pix is good, but I'm not a huge fan of the navigation, and that's probably why I drove people a little bit nuts when I was doing my first impressions and unboxing of the Pix, is because I was controlling it like I was controlling the Smart. But in any case, both of these are great. Obviously, you are welcome to get either of them, because they're both fantastic additions to the Tamagotchi franchise and the Tamagotchi series, and I love them both to bits. I've been running them both essentially non-stop since their respective releases. So this one was like late 2021 and this one was early 2022, and it's now mid-2022, so I've been running them for quite a long time. I love them both very much. I obviously recommend both of them. If you want both of them, I would recommend doing that, because they are both enjoyable in their own way. However, like, if you have to choose one, I would definitely recommend the Tamagotchi Pix. And as I said, there are lots of features here, and I went through more of them in my actual review video, in my actual unboxing video for that, so I won't show them off, but I feel like the Pix has so many features and it's not dependent on buying any additional things. You just use these QR codes, and I'm a big fan of that. But the main negative for the Pix is its size. Like, that's basically the only thing I don't like about the Pix. I don't like how big it is, but that's a fairly minor thing. If I'm taking it to and from work, I'm also running a virtual pet called an Ants Life Studio at the moment, and that's a lot bigger than the Pix, and you can't just get over the size. It's fine, but it would be nice if I could just slip this in my pocket easily. This does not slip in a pocket fairly easily. It bulges out. I'm worried that I break it in some way, but I haven't yet, which is good, and I do take it basically everywhere because it's a virtual pet. But yeah, so that's basically my wrap up. Oh, another thing that adds to the replayability of this is that whenever when you start an egg, you get like a different egg each time, and to determine the first egg that you get, it gives you like a personality quiz, and you get an egg that matches your personality in terms of how you've answered that quiz, and it kind of makes you have a different Tamagotchi each time almost. So I do like that functionality. It does remind me a little bit of the Tamagotchi connection, how every odd or even numbered generation you'll get a different roster. It sort of mixes it up a little bit. The Tamagotchi Smart, you kind of just get the same roster and then whatever smart card that you have on it. So that's another thing the Pix has going for it. It just feels like it's got more replayability, but also, having said that, I have all the smart cards, so does the Smart. But if you take the smart cards out of the question and you say, I don't want any smart cards, I want a one-off purchase, and the standard versions of this, the coral pink and the mint green or mint blue it is, they don't come with any smart cards. So if you run it without a smart card, it's got a lot less stuff you can do with it. But anyway, those are I said quick thoughts, but it ended up not being such a quick thought video. But those are basically my recommendations about what to choose, the Smart or the Pix. I personally go with the Pix, but if you get both, that's totally valid because they're both very fun. I love them both absolutely to pieces. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to when the Tamagotchi Pix party comes out here. That's coming out in late July in Australia, I think, so that's exciting. Definitely looking forward to unboxing that once I can order that. It hasn't come up for pre-order yet. It just has it's on Toys R Us, but you can't order it, which is annoying. But anyway, so those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts about the Smart or the Pix in the comments below. Like this video if, I don't know, you like this shade of blue. I'm a big fan of this shade of blue. And subscribe if you haven't already. And of course, I'll see you on the next one. Bye!